Hey everyone, welcome back to Renew Fashion. Today I have a very exciting video for you all. I made my first ever gown. I had a science graduation ball to go to because I am graduating this year. So I thought, why not challenge myself and try to make a gown for the very first time? Because why not? Even though I am swamped with schoolwork, I decided, let's make a gown in 5 days. So I actually really surprised myself with this gown. Although there are things I would have done differently the next time, I think I did really well for my first ever time making a fancy dress. So my inspiration for my dress was an Elsa Hosk red carpet dress that I found on Pinterest. I was absolutely obsessed with the dress, but I did want to make it a little more casual and flowy at the bottom because hers is for a red carpet, so it was a bit more fancy, but I still loved the look and it was good inspiration. I think I got it pretty close, more for the top part. I made the bottoms way more wearable for my graduation ball. Like, I'm not going to the red carpet. I wish, but we don't need to go that fancy. So let's get into it. So I started by taking a corset that I already owned and it fit well, and I just traced around the corset, trying to get the general shape of the pieces so that I could just work from this. So I actually cut out the pieces and tried to tape them together on paper so that I could change the shape of the corset because I wanted the top of it to be straight across, whereas the corset that I already owned had a bit of a point. I cut out my new pieces with my adjustments, and I ended up tracing those onto new pieces of paper so that it was just a little easier to follow. I did a draft of the corset top in some spare fabric because I did not want to waste any of my nice fabric, and the corset part was scaring me a little more, so I wanted to make sure I had the fit right and the length of all the pieces right. It was pretty spot on, but I made a few adjustments before I made it in the final material. I wanted the corset to be as professional and fully finished as possible, so I cut out double for each pattern piece for the corset so that it could have a lining piece and an outer corset piece. I ironed on interfacing for the outer corset piece because I wanted it to be as structured as possible. I wanted to make sure that the corset was structured and fit perfectly because it is strapless, so you need it to stay up on its own. At this point, I cut out the skirt lining piece and started stitching a basting stitch so I could gather the skirt because I was waiting on boning to arrive and they shipped it to the wrong house, and then after that it was late, so I was getting stressed and decided to move on to the skirt. I also attached a chiffon layer for the skirt off camera. Now my boning had come in and I could make my boning channels and insert the boning so that the corset had some really good structure. I tried to hold it up against my body just to make sure it would fit because I kept getting stressed that something was going to go wrong in this process. I attached the corset to a dress form, which at this point is broken, but my boyfriend helped me fix it, so here it is standing up. And I just put the chiffon over top of the corset and started pleating it and pinning the pleats in place. I also had to hand stitch all of the pleats to the corset, which took absolutely ages. I was really stressed about getting this dress done in only 5 days. This is the finished outer corset piece, which I attached to a lining. The corset looked kind of funky on the inside, so try not to look at that, but I lined up all the seams and just sewed it together. I also top stitched the seam allowance to the lining because I've been loving doing that recently, and it really helps with making sure the lining is not visible from the outside. Here I am now hemming the slit for the skirt, and I kept going back and forth between the skirt and the top because I was rushed, and I ended up not recording as much later on because I was honestly really stressed about getting this done in time. Now I was attaching the corset top to the skirt, and then after this I concealed the raw edges with bias binding because I wanted it to be completely finished on the inside with no raw seams. I think next time I would try to conceal the skirt within the corset when I attach them because the bias binding made it really bulky around the zipper where the skirt and the corset top met. Finally, I attached the zipper to the skirt and finished the back seam below the zipper. I hemmed both layers of the skirt off camera and then it was finished.
Young and open-hearted, desperate to feel wanted, gave too much to people that left me disregarded.
Thank you guys so much for watching. This was such a fun video to make, and let me know what you want to see next.
But now I'm calling back my energy from every single thing that wasn't meant for me. Old friends, ex-lovers, and my enemies.